Hi, everybody. It's Agnes, and I'm doing a very casual chat with Seth today. Seth,
Hello.
Seth is in his car, and I'm on my couch, and we're just going to chat. Yeah, we're going to talk manifesting and just Seth's been watching my channel for how long?
I'd say a couple months.
Yeah,
Yeah, before you started blowing up, because it seems like
yeah,
this past couple months you've been
yeah.
growing. So
Yeah. And
just
you're the first one that's a mother and son duo. There's two of you in the family watching it, which was really cute.
yeah, I introduced my mom to you, and she
Yeah,
loves you.
yeah. I think there's an email from your mum in my inbox. I saw her name. I thought,
Yeah, it's actually her birthday today.
nice,
Yeah. So she's
nice,
excited.
lovely. Well, happy birthday, Tracy.
Yeah, happy birthday, mom.
I'm sure she'll watch this if you've been on here. So we'll wish her a happy birthday.
Oh yeah.
So, Seth.
Yes,
So much to talk about
a
manifesting
lot.
wise. There is.
Yes.
I mean, do you want to just share a bit about your journey and what brought you to it, or what you love about it, or you go for it.
Yeah. So everything started out, I'd say, I figured out, about the law of attraction, about March of this year, actually. So it hasn't even been a full year.
Yeah.
What happened was, before, I've always been this super positive guy and this happy guy and stuff like that. And a couple things started happening. And then it was an avalanche of bad things that happened to me. And I was like, what in the freaking world is going on?
Yeah.
So I started to kind of get into a low state, a low mood all the time. And I was just I finally hit that rock where I'm just all right, I need to find something that's going to take me back up. Cause I've gone too far.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I just, I found this book. It was called Secrets of the Mind Exposed.
Yeah.
And I found it was in an email. It got emailed to me, and it was just this book, $47 ebook. I'm like, you know what, $47 ebook, why not? So I buy it, and I
Yeah.
read it in one day, and that's where everything started. It was just poof.
Wow.
And every single, we were talking a little bit before the video started, and I was talking to her about I've gone through stages of different kinds of states and stuff I've figured out. And so it was entry level was right there. And
Yeah.
really these past couple of months, it's really gone up into my level of awareness and everything like that. Ever since I've actually started, reading Neville Goddard is
Yeah.
when the big changes have started happening.
Yeah.
But everything's been going super fantastic. It's just manifesting a snap. And if you have the belief that you're going to manifest on snaps, then you're going
Yeah.
to.
Yeah, for sure. That's another belief that we have, that it takes a long time, and it doesn't have to be that way.
No, yeah, it doesn't have to be that long at all. It's just as easy to manifest a cup of coffee as it is, a specific person. It's just that
Yeah.
all the crowding thoughts that come in with the specific person, rather than if you just want a cup of coffee, you just want a cup of coffee, right?
Exactly. Oh,
Yeah.
That's good. And do you have a daily routine of stuff you do now, or what do you kind of do?
Okay, so I do have a daily routine. I do when I get up in the morning. So I usually get up for work about 5:45 in the morning. So
Wow.
5:45 in the morning, my alarm goes off, and as soon as my alarm goes off, I turn on self-love meditation by you.
Yeah.
So that's the start of my day, because you can't start there's no better way to start the day than with self-love.
Yeah.
So that's my start of the day every single day. After I do that, I usually read. I got a couple books by Neville Goddard that are just they're quotes.
Yep.
So that way, I'm just reading a couple quotes in the morning instead of a whole chapter, because he's pretty deep. So
Yes.
if you're just reading surface level, it's a lot easier, and it's a good way to start the day.
Yeah.
So I do those two things, and then just my normal morning routine. And when I'm going to work, I usually listen to Neville Goddard, an Audible book that I've bought. And I listen to some type of law of attraction. And lately it's just all been Neville Goddard, because everything, everything that he's teaching is everything that's actually happening to me. So that's why I'm listening to him. And, someone might resonate with the next person, you know, like a different person. Like say Bob Proctor might resonate with like Bob over here, but I'm resonating with Neville, so I'm going to do Neville better and you do Bob Proctor better.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what I've noticed is you got to stick to one person, because if you're talking about like two different people, you know, they have two different ways they do things, and then if you're trying to mix those, it's just not going to work out.
Yeah, because often law of attraction teachers don't have the same views on certain subjects, especially specific person, or you know, they find someone better or whatever it is. They go around the circle in different ways on different topics. So then you get confused.
And I think the biggest topic that a lot of people will really get confused about is taking action.
Yeah.
Because some people are like, you know, you just got to take action before you're even thinking. But really, you don't have to take any action. Like you had that video called Action versus Inaction, right?
Yes.
And you said it's about 80% inaction, 20% action.
Yeah.
And the 20% action doesn't even come in till the attraction is started. So like, let's say we're talking about a specific person. You know, you're sitting there like, oh, I have to take action. I have to text them. I have to call them. I have to do this. You don't have to do any of that.
Yep.
You can if you're internally already with them, they will text you first, and that 20% action is you texting them back. It's not you.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's not you texting them and saying like, hey, blah blah blah, and that's your 20%. No, the 20% is they've texted me first. I'm going to text them back. That's the 20%. All the rest is internal. That's
true. And the thing is, people think internal is inactivity. It's action too, but it's
definitely
action, and that's a lot of work.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think it's more work than even doing outside action, because outside action actually a lot of times is blind action.
Yeah.
And something, but when you're talking inaction, you know, you're playing scenes. You're posting words to the blank space of your mind.
Yeah.
And you got to make sure that you're disciplined. And especially at first, when you start this, you're sitting there, you know, watching your thoughts, and then when you have a bad thought, you're like, oh, I gotta not take that bad thought, and then you're thinking about not doing that bad thought, so that then increases the bad thought, and then it's like 3 days later, and you're like, what the this bad thought? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly. And it's hard to pull yourself out after 3 days, whereas the first 10 minutes would have been easier.
Right, exactly. And that's where, you know, I mean, that happens. And another thing, I've been saving all this stuff up to say, but
that's great. Go for it.
Another thing that I've noticed too is, you know, a lot of teachers, if saying you're the perceiver, you're the one that's watching the teacher, you're like looking at this teacher like they're some perfect like God, like they do everything perfect.
Yeah.
But it's really not like that.
Nope.
I mean, yeah, we have the same problems you do. We're just not going to sit there and express them, because then we're going to express them to you, which then you're going to think that we have problems a little bit, which is then going to actually cause more problems in both of our lives. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
no, I mean, the reason the good thing is now we have YouTube, but it's like you get drawn to things that you need to work on yourself. And Neville, for me, was a huge thing.
Oh, yeah.
And going to see John as my coach was very helpful for me. So it's like you've always got someone kind of ahead of you giving you bits of information that you can understand, and then you resonate with certain people at different times. Because they put the words and sentences together that your brain understands it. Like I have some law of attraction teachers I listen to, and I think, I've just listened to a 10-minute video. I don't understand any more than I did 10 minutes ago, because a language, the way they've put it together, my head just doesn't absorb. And yet someone else will say something on the same subject with different words and sentences, and you just get it. You just get it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And sometimes even watching another teacher sometimes discourages you, because you watch it and you're like, man, that's not what this person said. Like,
I get a lot of emails like that, Seth. So and so said that, but you said this, so what do I do now? Follow whoever you believe. You just follow what you believe.
I mean, it all comes down to it's just all beliefs. It's all beliefs.
All beliefs.
Because it's really anything. Like this world is just a big playground, and it's just, what do you want to believe, you know?
Yeah. Like you were saying at the beginning about I can manifest things like that. That's a belief, and therefore you get the evidence of it.
Right. Exactly. I mean, and then, so but we got to be careful when you have that belief, because it's going to work up here, but it's also going to work down here.
That's true. Yes. Yeah.
So you got to really, when you really get that belief, you really got to make sure you're always up here.
Yeah. Yeah. At least 80% of the time. Yeah.
Oh
Exactly.
yeah, definitely. And and just, I mean, just feeling good. Even if you're in a bad mood, if you just smile, like you just gotta just smile 100% of the time, and like that itself will drag you out of a bad mood.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure. For sure.
Yeah.
That's such a simple thing, but yeah, definitely
Yeah.
something that's easily overlooked. But yeah, it works. It works
Definitely.
for
Yeah.
sure. So, in terms of your life, like applying it to your work or what you're doing or whatever, like what sort of things do you apply it to at the moment?
I apply it to, so the job I have right now, I
Yep.
manifested.
Yep.
I manifested that. I've manifested all of my jobs. And so what I do is, like, before I go into the interview, I
Yep.
already assume, like, I've already had that first day. Like, I've
Yep.
already been to the first day on the job by the
Yep.
time I go into the interview.
Yep.
So when I'm in the interview, I already got like, I got this job. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
so it brings up, one, my confidence level and the belief that I already have the job.
Yeah.
So I'm actually, I work for the #1 real estate, team in Michigan, and
Okay.
we work, but I don't know where I was going with that. I just work for the #1 team in Michigan. But I mean, so a little bit of backstory. I've always wanted to go into real estate,
Yeah.
and I was with this other company first, and they weren't really helping me with anything. Like, I just got out of high school, and so I took the classes while I was in high school to do real estate.
Yeah.
So out of high school, I went right into this brokerage, which is what, a company that does real estate is called, as a brokerage.
Yep.
So I'm with this brokerage, and like I'm just sitting there like, and they're not doing anything, and like I'm just like, why aren't you teaching me anything? And they're just like, well, I mean, you kind of got to learn on your own. I'm like, what do you mean I got to learn on my own? I don't know how to learn this stuff on my own.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then at the same time, I'm sitting there like, what did I do to myself to get in this position where they're not teaching me anything? so so then, like, for a temporary, I went to a car dealership, and I got in there, and I was like sitting there, and I'm like, what am I doing? One, everybody at the dealership was like super low vibe, so every day I go in, it's just like everybody's pushing down my vibe. Like, I'm trying to light the place up, and they just keep turning the lights off.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm like, I can't be here anymore. And I'm
How long were you at that job for?
I don't even think a month.
Okay. Good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I started thinking, I'm like, I want to work for the guy I work for is Jeff Glover. I'm like, I want to work for him. Like,
Yeah.
why wouldn't I want to work for the #1 team in Michigan when it's literally only like, not that, it's like 20 miles from me.
Yeah.
So I'm like, why wouldn't I? So
Yeah.
I started thinking about working for him and things like that. And then my father and stepmom go out on a vacation, and they come back, and they're like, hey, we got this job opportunity for you with Jeff Glover.
No way.
Yeah. And I'm just sitting there like, I'm like playing it cool. I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm interested. And then I go to my room, and I'm just like,
Okay.
what is
Did you actually visualize anything specific for that particular one?
I visualized like me in his office,
Yeah.
and him like saying I got the job.
Okay. And how many times did you do it, say?
Every day.
Every day for a month, or?
That happened drastically. That happened. The turnover was probably like in a week.
Wow, nice.
Yeah.
And how long have you been there now?
I've been there 2 months now.
Okay.
So not even. I've been there since November 6th.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's amazing. Everybody there is super positive, super upbeat, and it's just like my kind of atmosphere.
Yeah.
And I was in the other place for like 3 months, the other brokerage, and I've been in this brokerage for 2 months, and I already have 3 listings.
Wow, nice.
Yeah.
Wow. And so you're selling houses on your own? So
I'm actually, like, how Jeff does it is we go through different stages of, like, so I'm inside sales right now, which is like so I'm still like a realtor, but I'm doing all of the phone work. Okay. So like I call people and like set up appointments with them, and then when I get those listings, I'm like the co-lister kind of thing.
Yeah. Okay.
But
Cool.
after 6 months, or like after like 3 months, I get to do it on my own.
Yeah.
So
That's
I'm
not
already almost there. No, not at all.
wow. And you're 18?
Yes.
Unreal.
Thank you.
That's really cool. That's
Yeah, and
amazing.
it's amazing, and the atmosphere just atmosphere is everything.
The
Atmosphere is
atmosphere
everything.
is everything. Yeah.
And if you don't have a good atmosphere, you got to make your own. That's what
Yeah.
I've learned.
Yeah. That's so
Especially,
great because you wanted to work in that industry and then you wanted to work specifically for that person.
yeah.
Yeah. Wow. What did your mum say?
Oh, my mom was thrilled. She still is thrilled. So don't tell me you can't manifest specific people if you're watching, because you can.
You can, yeah, you manifested a specific job in a specific office with a specific person.
Yeah, I mean that's really there.
Yeah.
That's like, and I mean I had never talked to him or anything like that. It was just, and the ways that people played their parts to get me there is just insane.
Yeah.
And that's another thing that I've learned from Neville Goddard, is just like the people playing their parts to get you what you want.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah,
You
they
just
will assemble. They'll assemble, and they
Yeah.
will act out the play that you created.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like kind of like when I started listening to Neville Goddard, and before it got even more and more deep, it gets more and more deep for me every day, and I understand even more.
Yeah.
But like at first I'm just like, man, it's like this world's my video game and I'm player one.
Yeah, I'm player one. Yeah, that's it. That's it.
Yeah.
Neville is quite hard to understand at first, but boy, there's so much in there. It's like
So
you don't
much.
see it at first. You don't, like you say, it gets deeper and deeper as you study it more.
Yeah, you read between the lines and you just pick up more and more.
How do I apply what they did to this situation I'm going through? And you break down the mechanics of it.
Yeah, yes. Especially with the law and the promise.
Especially with the law and the promise. Yeah, that is still, I mean, that's how I came to Neville, was that book. That was my first Neville book I ever read. And I think because there was not, it wasn't all just him talking through theory and knowledge like some of his other books.
Right.
It was easier to understand because it was people that had written in stories to him, and it was just, yes, it wasn't exactly the English we're used to, but you could still understand what they were talking about.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I read his books every single day.
Do
and
you?
I get more and more out of it every single day. Yes. And like his treasury, I got that on my phone, and I listen to it on the way to work every morning.
Wow.
And I try to read print too, because you'll pick up stuff in audio and then you'll pick up different stuff in print.
Yep. Yeah.
So and then that really, man, I'm excited.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant.
Yeah.
I think when I came to Neville, I think I was 28. So I was 10 years older than you. So
okay.
You've got a 10-year head start. You're going to fly by the time you're 40.
Yeah.
Good. So obviously, without saying too much about, because when you're trying to manifest future stuff, it's best not to talk about it too much. But have you got other things in the pipeline that you're visualizing?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the thing that I've realized, and especially this past couple weeks, is that you need living from the end. There's a certain extent of living from the end that I understood at first, but now I really understand living from the end, because what I do to live from the end, and which has really made the circumstances starting to come together even more and more, is living from the end at all times. So if you're thinking about tomorrow, you think about tomorrow with your end goal in mind. So it's like, let's say we're talking about specific people, because that's what your channel is about. It's like, hey, tomorrow I'm going to wake up. Like, if you're just thinking about, if someone brings up tomorrow morning, you think about tomorrow morning, and you think about tomorrow morning getting that text from your specific person that says like good morning, like I love you, or something like that. And not like in the process of getting back together with them or getting together with them. No, you're already together with them. There's don't think about the in between. You got to always think about the end.
Yeah. And that sounds easy, but when you first practice, your head instantly goes to the gap between
100%.
you and them, or you and the job, or whatever. So the living from thing, it's such an easy concept to understand after you've read Neville for a little bit. but to apply it to whatever you're doing currently, that's another whole black belt manifesting one.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that takes serious time.
It does.
And it seems like it seems like when you actually understand it, it's like one click.
Yeah.
But it takes you the whole time to get up to there.
Yeah.
And it's just like you're doing all this work and all this work and all this work, and then it's like boom, it clicks.
Yeah.
And you're like, whoa, this is what I've been missing out on.
Yeah, yeah. And then you get a result and you go, okay, now I get where I should be mentally and emotionally, because it's in your head, your thought about it, and in your emotional, because when you're emotionally not living from something, you get some kind of feeling. But if you're living from something, that negative kind of droop is gone, because you feel so good about having it.
Yeah, because you already have it.
Because you already have it.
And you got to give thanks during the day that you already have it. Yeah. But you're not giving thanks because you already have it, because you realize that you don't have it. Yeah. If that makes sense. Yes. Because that happens.
Let me ask you. Let's break down the mechanics of this a bit further. Prior to you getting the job that you've got,
yes,
you imagined yourself already in the office and them telling you got the job.
Yep.
But as you went through the days leading up to that, getting that actual thing happening in 3D, as you moved around your days, how did you hold the living from it then?
Like how Neville teaches imaginary congratulations.
Oh, okay.
So if I'm going to maybe have lunch with my friend, my friend's telling me how happy he is that I'm working for, this team that's the number one team in Michigan. Like, I'm so happy for you that you're doing this. Or I go home at night and, I put my keys on the ring and I'm just like, oh, I just got home from work. Like the best work that I have,
So you did that. Even if you just went out to go and see one of your friends for catching up, you'd come home and pretend you'd come back from work.
Yes.
That's a good one. Nice.
Yeah. So, and then, when you're on your way home, or you're on your way somewhere, you act like you're going to work. Like I'm on my way to work.
Yeah. Yeah. Are you working today?
Me? No, I'm actually off today.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You might have been in your car on your lunch break or something.
No. This is perfect. See, this is another manifestation that actually worked out perfectly, because you're like, hey, let's do the 30th at 10. And I'm like, man, I worked that day. There's got to be a way that I don't work that day. Yeah. So I went to sleep a few nights. Like, I had this day off. Yeah. And they're like, hey, I get to work that next Monday, because I usually have Sundays off and work Saturdays, because I work 6 days a week. Yeah. And so I come in that Monday and they're like, hey, the 30th we have off because we're working the 31st.
No way.
I'm dead serious.
And I mean, you don't really have anything to go by, because you weren't there last Christmas, so you wouldn't know that was something that might happen. Oh, that's fantastic.
No idea.
Yeah.
It was just insane.
Wow. Man, you're on a roll. You're on a roll.
Yeah. And that's another thing too. I mean, I'm really talking today, but that's another thing too, is like, you got to be okay with building momentum, because once you get the momentum, it's going to all this blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Like, you're going to have to
describe that a bit. What do you mean about momentum? How do you start your, say, first day of imagining the thing you want, and what do you mean by momentum?
Okay. So what I mean by momentum is, it's okay to, like, for the first 8 months, that I actually knew about the law of attraction, I feel like I was just building up all this momentum because I didn't have any prior knowledge to anything. Yes. So it was a learning process. Yep. And through the learning process, you are going up the hill. Yeah. You're going against the grain. Yes. And then once you hit the top of the hill, where you're now free floating, you're in the limbo area of the manifesting world, I say. Yeah. And then a switch hits, and you start going downhill, and it's like
on the roller coaster.
Yes, you're on a roller coaster, and it's like manifest, and it's just like picking up. So it's okay if you just started and you're not seeing any results for the next 2 weeks, and then you're looking at, and especially, this is another thing, I'm just going from one to the next, but they keep tying into each other.
Yeah.
But another thing is, if you're looking at somebody that's next to you that maybe you know that manifests stuff, and they're just manifesting all this crap, like all this stuff, and it's just like, man, this kid's getting all the good stuff, why am I getting all the good stuff?
Yeah.
One, that's a limiting belief that you just made yourself.
Yes.
Two, you don't know how long they've been doing this for.
Yeah.
So, and three, you know, everything has its own appointed hour, like Neville says. You know, you got to just be living from it. Like, if you recognize that someone's manifesting something and you don't have it yet, then you're not living from the end anymore.
That's exactly right. And also, even prior to people doing their law of attraction stuff and having awareness and knowledge about it, you don't know what people's beliefs were prior to that anyway.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. You have no idea, because, I mean, breaking a belief takes a long time.
It does.
And I feel like getting a belief doesn't take as long, but you got to crack the one before you start the new one.
You do. Yeah, because see, I remember having the belief creative people don't make money, because that was my family belief. There was heaps of creative people in my family, but no one ever actually, you know, did very well. So it was like I had to crack that one here,
right,
to then be able to see an external result. And people often say, well, how do you know the belief is gone? It's because the outside thing has changed. That you got a result. That's how you know it's gone.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, it's good. That's really cool. I like how you talked about that momentum, because I think especially for your first kind of manifestation, you really wanted a great job, or you really wanted a specific person, or you really wanted to have no debt, or you hadn't traveled for 20 years and you really wanted to go on a fully paid trip, something that was reasonably large in size.
Right.
And then you like, exactly like you said, it kind of feels like you're climbing this thing and you don't see any result, because you also don't have any past manifestations to know how the process feels leading up and how it feels when it actually starts to just, you're riding the wave of it happening.
Right.
So that first one is kind of the blueprint that sets the whole, after you do the first one, then you've got some kind of footing for the rest.
Right. And another good thing that I do is, if I am getting a little bit discouraged, is I manifest small stuff so it builds up my confidence.
Yeah.
So say you just learned about the law of attraction and you're trying to manifest this huge thing, like such as a specific person, because I think that's one of the biggest things you can manifest. Like it's huge. I mean, you're dealing with a lot of different stuff, but it's just as easy to get a cup of coffee, which a lot of people don't realize.
Yeah.
But I mean, in your mind, getting a cup of coffee is going to be a lot easier. So one day I'm just like, let's test this, like cup of let's test this cup of Joe type of thing.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I'm going to bed the night before, and I'm just like imagining having this like warm cup of coffee in my hand.
Yeah.
And like I'm sipping it, and it's like like my tongue's warm. I can smell the coffee, and I'm like, I don't know how I'm gonna get it, but I already got it. That's what I know.
Yeah.
I wake up the next morning, and this is when I was living at my brother's.
Yeah.
Wake up the next morning. And I have a, what you call a brother from another mother.
Yeah, yeah.
So my brother, his mom comes over, and she's got 2 coffees in her hand. And I'm like, well, this is interesting, because I know my brother doesn't drink coffee. Wow. And she goes, Seth, for some reason I went to Dunkin' Donuts, and they gave me 2 coffees on accident. I ordered 1, but they gave me 2. Do you want this one? And like, here I am trying to play it cool again, and I'm just like, and this happens to me.
And that's that thing you were talking about that Neville says, that people play their part in getting the coffee to your door. You didn't even go out. Right. And the lady shows up at the door with 2 going, oh, I got this thing, I don't really. I mean, it's just, that is the most, like, you have those moments where it gives you what I call chicken skin. You get that on your.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Your hair starts standing up. You're like, what is this?
It does. It's so specific.
It's so specific. And everything, I feel like the more you manifest, I feel like everything starts to get more animated, it feels like, on the
Yeah.
outside.
Yeah.
And everything on the inside actually starts to feel more real than it does on the outside, because you
It
just know
does.
that the outside is just, it's just literally like what you say is a photocopy of
Yeah.
what's going on in the inside.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's so much fun to play with that.
Oh yeah, it's awesome. It's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
You
And
start
you've
manifesting
already
stuff
done
that you don't
it.
even realize.
You've already done
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Can you share any other sort of like the cup of coffee or the job? Have you got any other
Oh yeah.
cool ones
I
that
mean,
happen?
yeah. I had this one. It's a personal situation, so I'm not going to go in depth with the
Yeah.
situation.
Yeah.
But I had a situation where I actually like created the situation in my head, lived from the end from it, felt everything like that was real about this situation,
Yeah.
and the situation happened verbatim, like 100%. The only thing that was different was the clothes that like the person that I was with and the other and then what I had on. Like, that was the
Wow.
only thing. Everything happened exactly like it happened. And there was another thing in my imaginal scene. My brother was on the couch, but my brother was actually in his room. So
Yeah.
like that's the only two differences that were in this whole entire scene.
Wow. And the end
And
result you imagined came to pass.
yeah, and plus some. Like
Fantastic.
yeah, it was
Yeah.
amazing.
Okay, let me ask you, how many times did you go through that one mentally?
A lot.
What,
A
like a
lot.
month or 6 months or?
Well, no, it was more of I was doing it all day, every
Okay.
day, for
Okay.
like maybe 3 days to a week. Like
Okay.
let's say I did it for like probably like 3 days, and then like things that were leading up to the situation started happening, and it
Yeah.
probably happened actually like a week after I started imagining the scene. And
Wow.
it's funny because like I started imagining the scene when I was on my way back from my mom's house, because my mom's house is like about 2 hours from where I live.
Yeah.
And it's funny as it sounds, like a semi truck's behind. I get behind a semi truck. In the back of the semi truck, it's a McDonald's semi truck, by the way, and it says
Yeah.
destined. It says destined for greatness. And it was after I first like made this imaginal scene, and I took a picture with my phone, and I was
Yeah.
like, I'm gonna save that.
Yeah.
And then so on the way home, I'm like holding my steering wheel. I just kept pasting, like what you say, pasting the scene
On the
on my
back of the
car.
truck.
Yeah, like on the back of the truck, then on the windshield, and then I just did it all
Yeah.
day, every day,
Yeah.
and uh, and then
Fantastic.
it happened. It happened.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
So you put quite a bit of really intense focus hours into it, like with your eyes open.
Yes,
Yes.
like
Okay.
every day, all day. Like I'm one of those people. It's when I like something, it's like I'm obsessed with it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So so like me having this obsessive kind of personality that I have,
Yeah.
when I figured out about the law of traction, it was like, oh, there's no going back.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's no going back, and it's just all day. My
Yeah.
thought, like there is always a guard right
Yes.
here in the front
Yes.
of my brain, like monitoring everything that goes through.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's fun, isn't it? Like it's fun.
It's so fun.
It is.
It's so
It's
fun.
really fun. And it's like you stretch yourself, like you start off with, it's almost like you go through levels, like you do the cup of coffee and you do the, someone buying you a meal, and then you do the parking spots, and then you do the wouldn't mind someone specific ringing me, and then you say, oh, I'd really love to go to this country and it be fully paid. So you stretch yourself, and you've got no money when you have that desire, so you stretch yourself with that kind of thing. And then I mean, I remember I hadn't traveled in you still there?
And
You still there?
we're cutting out a little bit. Hold on a second.
Yeah.
Just, hold on, Anya. So you sound like a robot right now for
Okay.
some reason. Oh, here we go. There we go.
Yeah.
Here we go. Hold on a second.
Yeah, I
Can you hear
just
me?
got
All right, there we go. Oh my gosh, you sound like a robot for like 2 minutes, and it was like, I know that. I'm like, oh no, we can't cut out now. This is too juicy.
What were we just talking about? I just lost the train of thought. Oh, about manifesting bigger and bigger things.
Yeah, like you start. I got your concept of what you're saying. Like I
Yeah.
felt the energy, but
Yeah. So it's like you stretch yourself to bigger things.
yeah. Hopefully, like it up on. Okay. Yes. Am I sounding good on yes? Because it's cutting out a little bit.
Yeah, it's cutting out a
I'm
bit.
trying to find a different spot where I can get some little bit more.
Oh, okay. No worries. No worries.
I'm trying to find a better parking spot. Maybe like the data. I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay, we're good now.
We're good right now. Yeah.
Okay, good. Whew, man, that scared me. I was like, no.
Yeah, exactly. But you know what? If that happened while you were at home, you'd be stuck with it. At least you're in the car. You can move.
Yeah, you're right. It's like, come on, satellite towers, work with me.
Yeah, exactly. I'm sitting right on top of the Wi-Fi box in France.
Oh, yeah.
And I thought, this has to work today.
Good.
Yeah, so we were talking about like you bump yourself up in terms of what you stretch yourself mentally to, like you don't go, that's too big, that's too hard. You actually go, you know what? I manifested that before. Therefore, that's what I was going to say to you. I remember when I hadn't traveled for like over 15 years because I never had any money.
Right.
And then I thought, hang on a minute. What are you doing? You could have traveled 15 years ago if you'd actually done something about it. So I started imagining myself, the plane was taking off and I could see out the window, the ground was getting further away. And then I'd imagine myself hugging different people that I wanted to see. And I set this thing in my head at first because I was still coming from lack. I said to myself, I'm going to have one fully paid trip a year. And I had 6 trips in 6 years and they were fully paid. And then I thought, okay, I've got that sorted now. I know how to manifest a fully paid trip when I've got no money in the bank, or no matter how much money in the bank, I can do that. Right. And then I had this thought in 2016, early 2016. Actually, no, it would have been at the end of 2015 because I actually manifested it in January 2016.
Okay.
I said I want 4 trips in 2016 fully paid. And I remember thinking that was such a huge jump. It was massive. It was massive.
Yeah, that's huge.
It was so huge. And I remember laughing going, how the heck are you going to jump from 1 fully paid trip to 4? And I thought the same way you do everything else. You believe it, you imagine it, you live in it, and you just, if it's 4 trips, you got to kind of cut it into 3 months each. That makes 12 months. So that's exactly what I did. And I remember going on the first trip and I remember going, yes, I've done the first trip. And then I went back to Sydney because I was in London and I thought, okay, let's book the next one. I thought, I haven't got enough money yet. It was like, no, you do. You're on the plane. You're already taken off. You've already landed. So who cares about that? That's just a step.
Yes.
Yeah. So I did that for the 4 trips. And I remember the last trip was in, like November, December. And I remember going, oh my God, I did the 4 trips in 1 year.
Right.
It was huge. It was a big mental belief jump for me to think I could do that. And I did it. But
that's incredible.
Yeah, you got to jump sometimes in increments.
Yes.
I could never have gone from never traveling for 15 years to jumping to 4 trips a year.
Right.
Too big a jump.
Exactly. And the thing is, I mean, technically in the grand scheme of things, it's just as easy to do that. But it just in our heads, the way that, I mean, we've been brought up, it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
But I mean, that brings me to the next topic.
Go ahead.
Awesome. So revision is such a big topic. And I just really got the grasp of it the past couple of weeks.
Okay.
So say you have you have a bad day. And then you're like, man, that bad day is going to cause something bad in the future. But if you keep thinking that, then that's going to happen. But so let's say you had a bad day and you wake up the next day and you're like, man, yesterday was like a really bad day, blah, blah, blah. And you sit there in the morning and you rework the whole day on how you thought that day went. And it completely negates everything that happened the day before.
Yeah, because you're out of you're moving. Revision is really about moving out of the problem state into the solution of how you would have liked it to be state. That's all you're doing.
Right. And if let's say you have a thought and you realize that you're not living from the end. You're like, oh man, that thought wasn't living from the end.
Yeah.
Imagine yourself, even say it's 5 seconds. Let's say 5 seconds ago, you're at a stoplight and you were thinking about that. And then you left the stoplight and you were like, oh man, that thought that I had at the stoplight wasn't thinking from the end. if you have to pull over, close your eyes, imagine being at the stoplight again, and imagine like that whole scene over again and what you thought in that position.
Yeah.
And it totally just trashes what you just said, what you're thinking at that stoplight before.
Yeah, it rubs it out.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, Neville talks a lot about revising your day.
Yes.
Like you go to bed and you go back through the stuff that you didn't like, and
right.
You basically rubbing out the problem and then hopping into the solution, which then keeps the next day free.
Yeah. And it's amazing.
It does. So are you using it like as a technique regularly now, or?
Yeah, I use revision every day.
Every night? Like you use it like Neville talks about?
Yeah, yep. Yeah. I use it and I'll use it throughout the day. If I have a thought that like maybe like, you know, rubbed me wrong, or if I didn't like it, or if it like maybe stirred up something right here in the chest, because that happens.
It does.
I go back to the moment where I thought about that. You know, like if I'm at work, I'll go into the bathroom, you know, just close my eyes and think back where I was a few seconds ago and totally redo that whole thought that I had.
Wonderful.
And it just changes the whole day. It just flips the switch.
Yeah. And you mean like a conversation with someone over the phone, or?
Yeah, that, or even just, you know, just a lot of what I've previously, you know, had a problem with is just like thinking of a situation happening and then fearing that situation happening because I thought about that situation.
Yeah.
So say I think about a situation and I'm a little bit fearing of that situation happening.
Yeah.
You know, rework the situation.
Yeah.
And that's what I do.
And then it brings you back to that peaceful, emotional
place.
Where
you can just take a deep breath and let it go.
And then also you don't go, oh my God, I had a really bad, 15 minutes of feeling, negative or mentally disturbed or whatever. Now I've launched it. It's going to create itself, which then puts another fear on top of the thing in the first place.
Yes, and then it's like you're hitting these fear levels. It's like fear. Oh crap! When it's gonna happen? Fear.
It's true. It's true. Thank God things don't manifest instantly.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I mean, I've had a couple where it's just like minutes, and then you're like, it's like a real eye opener.
Yeah.
And then you're just like, oh man. Yeah. But like what Neville Goddard said, everything has its own appointed hour.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if you're living from the end, like let's say like 80% of the day, it's like a snap of a finger, it seems like.
The appointed hour isn't that far ahead. Yeah.
No, not at all. But you at the same time, which is another thing, you can't think that your appointed hour is not that far ahead. You already are living in that appointed hour.
Exactly.
And it's so hard to do sometimes, but it's just really what it breaks down to is that's just what you got to do.
Yeah. And that's the work. That's the work.
Yeah, that is the work. Yeah, and that is, I mean, let's say, I want to manifest a cup of coffee. Yeah, it's much easier for me to go to Starbucks and buy a cup of coffee.
But what would be the fun in that?
Right. It's a whole different thing if you're like imagining all these like things that happen just to get this cup of coffee in my hand. And then when it happens, and that's the difference between inaction and versus action is, like that's not law of attraction. You literally, just sitting there thinking, oh, I want a cup of coffee. Oh, let's go to the cafe and have a cup of coffee.
Exactly. It's really great. And that's the thing that Abraham Hicks talks about so much. And she says it a million times. It's the art of allowing. It's the art of allowing. It's the art of allowing. She says it a million times. It's so easy to miss her saying that because it just seems like kind of 4 words stuck together in a sentence. But what it means is do your internal work. And she says this too. You do all your internal work and then you see what time you've got left to do the other stuff.
Right.
You do all your internal work and then you see how much time you've got left. So it's like, there really is such a conservation of energy when you do that.
Yes. Yeah.
And that is what is the opposite of how so many people feel. They're exhausted, they're stressed, they've got anxiety, they've got all this stuff, and it's from trying to push stuff into shape. It does not work. You got to just relax and lean back. Stop sticking your foot on the accelerator.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
It all just works itself out. It all works itself out.
It does. It does.
You don't have to do anything.
No, exactly. You really don't. You really don't.
It's like you just put your plate out, and they just put the food on. Just make sure it's clean.
Yeah. That's great.
Yeah.
That's great. I love it. And okay, let me ask you, have you got law of attraction friends, or are you kind of just online connecting with people, or have you got people around you that do it?
Not to the extent of that I do it.
Yeah.
A lot of I've introduced my family to it, obviously my mom.
Yeah.
But it's just like the level of awareness and like the level of dedication that I put to it.
Yep.
Just like, you know, a lot of my, like, I have friends that I've introduced it to, but no, like it's really honestly like I'm like here by myself just doing it. And but I mean, it's okay. I'm okay with that.
Yeah. Look, Seth, I was like that for years. I'd be reading Neville, and I had, you know, one friend that we got together and did it, but it was like I was in my own world for like years, like just in my own head, reading Neville and applying it and just applying it to everything. And I couldn't even talk to my friends. They would have thought I was totally mad.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. I mean, like a lot of the stuff I just keep to myself because I mean, if I started talking about it, they're just like, what are you?
I know. Because people don't understand that imagination creates reality, and they're actually imagining and affirming all day negatively anyway, and they're getting results. And then they talk about that, and then they get together and complain to their families about it, and then they just have launched another big wave of it.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yep. Because I mean, if you're sitting there going against the grain, I mean, if you don't believe it works, it's not going to work because you don't believe it works.
Exactly.
And which is another thing, you know, like the first step of like the law of attraction for me, like I didn't really learn about imagining until Neville, but imagining is like the key. It's the key.
It's the key. Yeah.
Because I mean, you can say things over and over in your head, but if your imaginal scenes aren't matching up with what you say in your head, nothing's going to happen.
Exactly.
And that's where I found myself for the past probably like 8 months or so. It's really been the past couple of months is where everything like we said, I know I got to the top of the hill and I'm like, hold the heck on because here we go.
Yeah.
In a good way.
Yeah, for sure. And you know, I think now too, because there's so much stuff on YouTube, and you know, there is a lot of books you can order, and you can read a lot of PDFs and a lot of stuff for free. It's like you don't feel as alone, really, because usually at night, you know, you're either watching a movie or some people are watching the news or they're watching crime or anything anyway. So you just get on your laptop and you watch your law of attraction stuff.
100%. Yeah, I don't even have cable TV.
Yeah, me either.
I don't watch, like if I watch a commercial and I'm just like, like, is this like I literally just take all negative anything out of my life. Like if I mean I've had I almost just lost you. If I had like negative friends, they're gone. Like I got rid of all my negative friends, and it was it's a sacrifice. Yeah. But at the same time, you know, it's going to be improving me so much.
It is. Like you're not having to revise for people so much. You don't have to then use up your energy trying to correct. I mean, we know everyone is us pushed out, but how much energy?
Exactly.
I've got some friends I've known for years, like 25 years. I don't want to revise for them. I've heard their stories. I've got other things I'd rather do.
Yes, I feel the same way. Oh, I'm so happy you brought it up because I feel the same way. It's just like I look at someone, I'm like, I know that's just another part of me that I can change. Yeah. Like I can like you can totally mold someone any way you want them. Yeah. But it's like, do I want to focus on that, or do I want to focus on what like I'm trying to get? you know, exactly. like why would I waste my energy to mold somebody that I can kind of just like you know, just
away. I know, because you think, okay, I can spend the next half an hour imagining the next amazing trip I'm going to go on, or I can revise this person's drug addiction. Let me think about that. Which one do I rather do?
Right, exactly. So, and that's exactly how I feel. Because I mean, I do a lot of revision for people, and it works because everybody's you. Like that's a huge concept that you got to learn. Is everybody is you.
Everybody is you.
Everybody, literally, it's just verbatim. Like they're gonna speak whatever your concept of them is,
Yeah.
and it's just really just another part of you that you're not really experiencing unless you're in contact with them.
Unless you're in contact with them. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know, it's full on. And that's what the Ho'oponopono is so good for. And Neville's Everyone Is You Pushed Out. It's like, you sort of, because I used to revise every single negative thing that used to come. I was like you, I was obsessed. I still am obsessed with it. But I used to revise every single thing that used to come across my eyes,
Right.
every person, someone in the street, or, they'd be having an argument with someone on the phone. I'd revise that. And I'd think, oh, you know what? I can't cure the whole world.
Yeah.
I can only do a certain amount a day. So I started, if my friends would say, oh, this is happening, that's happening, I had to take that hat off and go, yeah, no, I said, look, you're smart, you'll work it out. That's now my line. So I don't have to stick my fingers in it. Pull back.
Definitely. And that's what, I do. Obviously when I'm talking about like what I do revising all day, I usually just do it for myself.
Yes.
With if someone I see, is having a bad day, instead of taking the energy and revising, like, something that's going to take 5 minutes, I just send unconditional self-love out to them.
Yeah.
It's just like, hey, like I see like a guy in a car that just got like super angry, because I live in Detroit. So I see a lot. I'm like, a lot of traffic around here. So I see a lot of road rage. And if I see a dude get road rage, I'm just like, that guy have an amazing day, like love to him, like you don't know what happened to him, even though he's you pushed out.
He's you pushed out. His one of his relatives could have died, or he could have got laid off from work yesterday, or you just don't know. And that one thing, it's like it gives you compassion too, because those moments when you've been like that. Right,
exactly. And obviously no one's perfect.
Yeah.
So it's another. Yeah, exactly. Which, since we're on the topic of a death of a relative, which I want to bring up, is the situation that I texted you, that I not texted you, but emailed you about, which is like, that was a great situation. And so what happened was, everything with my grandpa that happened. So, I mean, no one knows about this, so I'll just give the whole story.
Go for it from the beginning. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm at work and I get a phone call from my mom that my grandpa, something happened with him, but he's going to be okay. They were actually on their way to come see us for Christmas, because they moved down to Missouri a couple of years ago. And I'm like, okay. But in somewhere in me, like, it was just like something told me, like, like, he's ready to go.
Wow.
And I'm like, okay, he's ready to go. Like, I'm just going to keep calling my mom, like, getting the updates. So like I call her a little bit later, and like I hear that his kidneys have failed, and he threw up again. And it was just like, now he was kind of like losing consciousness. And I was like, man. So I went to my boss. Obviously, I was in the best emotional state at this point, because this is like my hero. My grandpa's my hero.
Yeah.
I lived with him for a number of years, and he's another dad to me. So, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna have to drive. I'm driving to my mom's. Like, I don't care. So I went to my boss. I'm like, hey, I told everything that's happening. They already saw me crying anyway, so just like they knew that something was up. I'm like, I gotta go. Like, I'm going. They're like, don't even worry about it. Like, leave now. Get out of here.
Good.
So I left, went straight up to my mom, and then got even worse news. That at this point he was on a respirator, and we didn't know how long he was gonna make it. And they're in Missouri, so like it's like, we're 9 hours away in car. So like, what do we do? So I'm just like, I'm imagining as I was driving up to my mom's, I was imagining the last moments with him and how everything was gonna break down, because I knew this was the end, and I knew that he wanted to go. Yeah. So it was just like I'm gonna let him go. Yeah. But I'm gonna let him go in like the most perfect and peaceful way, and I want to be there for it. Yeah. So it's just like I kept imagining like me holding his hand, me holding his shoulder, like me kissing his forehead, telling him everything.
Nice.
And it's
Seth,
funny.
Can I ask, how far away were you from him, and were you driving or flying to get there?
We drove.
You drove.
9 hours.
You did that 9-hour stint. Okay.
Yep. So, and even more of a little bit backstory. Let me back up a little bit before I get more into it. The night before, and I actually emailed you about it, I listened to a near-death experience.
Yeah.
And it was before I knew anything, and the near-death experience literally sounded like Neville's teachings, and this was a guy that had never even heard about Neville. So that, like, right there already kind of gave me another sign that, like, this was going to be his time. So I was like, I want to make it to my grandpa so I can tell him about this near-death experience, because I know he's ready to go, and I know I'm ready for him to go. So I went and picked up my sister. The next morning we rushed down. We make it there at like 3 o'clock. So, I mean, he was unconscious, but I asked everybody to leave the room, and I sat there next to him holding his hand and his shoulder, and I sat there and I told him about the near-death experience from, like, start to beginning. And like I was like, I don't know. I mean, I was like, if you can't hear me, like, in your ear, I know you can spiritually hear me, because I had this, like, feeling like I got, like, it's almost like his voice creeped into my head that he was talking to me, and like he said, like, he had already been out of his body a few times.
Okay.
Like three times what I picked up on. It was more not like a conversation. It was more of like an energy conversation.
Yeah.
So everybody came back in the room, and like 3 hours later, he finally passed. But before, as he was passing, nobody knew, right? But I had my hand in my left hand. I was holding his hand like I was in my imagination, and I was holding his shoulder like I was in my imagination. And I felt from the tip of my finger, like, this energy just, like, right here surged through all the way up my arm into my chest, and it filled my whole chest. And it felt like, almost like, you know how a self-love meditation feels when you get that chest feeling. It felt like that.
Wow.
And I was like, oh, he's gone. Like, that was it. That was him letting me know. Because while I was talking to him when I was alone, I was like, let me know. I was like, I am going to be receptive to you letting me know. Let me know. So that was my indicator. I was like, okay, like, he's gone. And then nurse comes in 30 seconds later and is like, you know, we're sorry to say, but he's gone. And I was just like, wow. Like, as sad as I was in that moment, it was so enlightening at the same time.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there just like, in like, holy crap. So just to process everything, like, I stood up and I walked out on my own, and I'm just like, all right, I'm just going to go on a walk.
Yeah.
So I go on this walk, I go in the elevator, and I take it down to the first floor, and the elevator doors open, and there's just this big sign on the elevator door, and it says, "We did it," with 2 hands high-fiving. And I just fucking, sorry, I just swore, but like, it was the most insane moment in, like, my whole entire life. I was just like, no way.
Wow.
And then I stepped out of the elevator, and every single elevator door had the same exact sign on it. And I was just like, no way. Like, that is crazy. So I went back up, kissed his forehead, and, like, I was just, like, happy. And like, ever since, I mean, it just made the whole process so much easier.
Yep, for sure. What did your mom say? Did you?
I mean, I don't think she was there. Like, I wasn't telling anybody about anything. I kept all this to myself.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, like, the family that was there was, like, my grandma, my uncle, and my aunt.
Yeah.
You know, they're not into this kind of stuff that I am.
Yeah.
My mom, obviously my mom is, but I didn't even go into the depth of a story that she's probably going to hear now today.
Yeah.
On, like, in this. So, I mean, this is going to be the first time she hears that full story.
But you've got more of a bird's eye view now, because you kind of, how long has he been since he's passed away?
He passed away the 15th of December, so 15 days.
Not that long. Yeah.
Yeah, like 2 weeks. 2 weeks.
Yeah. Wow. That's profound.
It was incredible. Incredible experience. I was just like, I can't even be sad. Like, I can't be sad. Yeah. I was like, this is too amazing.
Well, he let you know. It was
just incredible. And then I'm sitting there like, man, I imagined everything that happened. This is another circumstance that, like, just made everything and just prove it even more. Like, that is a huge situation.
Yeah.
And, you know, I wanted to help him out, because I knew it was his time. So it was like, you know, it's not like I was trying to kill him. It was just like, he was ready to go, and I wanted to let him go. Yeah. And I was just like, you know, if I were to try to hold on to him, he probably would have held on, but it's like his left heart was enlarged. His kidneys were failed. It was just like, you know, just let him go.
Let him go. So, that's what he wants. Let him go. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Wow.
So that was a beautiful experience. Probably the best experience I've had in my whole entire life. And, like, my world's just been lit up Like,
Yeah.
it's amazing.
Isn't that the like so the opposite of most people's?
Like grieving process.
Yeah. Doesn't have to
Yeah,
be that way, does it?
it doesn't have to be that. Like John was saying, you
Yeah.
know, in the video that you made with him, like when someone
Yeah.
passes, when you have a deeper understanding and a bigger awareness, it's more of an enlightenment than it is a downer.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, you're going to be sad. There's times.
Of course. Yeah.
But it's just like, like
Yeah.
he's
Yeah.
resistance free. He's resistance free.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's free. Yeah, exactly.
So it's just incredible experience.
Beautiful. And is your grandmother still alive?
That was amazing.
Or she passed before him?
She's still alive. Yes.
She's still alive. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
So she's in Missouri, but that was just that really set the bar.
Well, that was a good application of all that stuff, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah. That's so. I remember the moment I read your email because it was so charged, full of, what was going on. I was like, whoa! It just blew me away. It was powerful. It was fantastic.
Yeah, because I emailed you actually the night before we left too.
Yeah.
And I was like, look, because we were actually supposed to have this interview.
Yes.
Yeah, the 22nd.
Yeah, and he was going downhill. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, look, I don't want to be, in a bad vibe for this. And I was still in Missouri at the time anyways.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't have worked out, but I'm happy that all that stuff happened. So now I can share this with all, your viewers.
Exactly.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, because everybody has to deal with this at some point.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, if you actually, get that chance to be able to do that, it makes the whole process just so much easier, and just it's a weight lifted off your shoulders.
Yeah. And just knowing that they knew that they could literally go because they wanted to.
Yeah,
you're not holding them. You got to stay here for me.
Right. And I let him know, like, even through, when I was driving there, it was just like, if you're struggling that much, I don't have to be there. But like the way I was imagining it, I was there. So like he held on until I was there.
Till you got there.
Yeah. So it was great. I mean, I still think about it every day, and I'm just happy, so happy that's how everything went down.
Yeah. That's so cool. That's such a, it's an unforgettable experience forever.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Probably till the day you die.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Wow. And I think the only topic we haven't touched is self-love.
Yeah. Hey, go for it. I'm all ears.
Okay. So, yeah, I mean, I'm like huge self-love, like that. I mean, that's literally the foundation.
Yeah.
And I think the more self-love you have, everything just is more bright, and everybody's more bright because once again, everybody's pushed out. So if you have more self-love, everybody else is going to have more self-love.
Yep.
And if you're just radiating that, it's contagious. It's so contagious. If you go into a room and you're smiling, everybody's like Debbie Downer. It's your decision either to make everybody else smiling, or it's your decision to become more of the Debbie Downer.
That's it. That's it. And you can turn a whole room around. You can.
Yes, you can. That is 100% true.
Yeah.
And self-love helps you with that, because the self-love, if you got this bar of self-love and it's always supercharged, you're going to be always winning.
Yeah.
So like I said, I do a self-love meditation in the morning. There's an affirmation that I listen to sometimes in the morning if I'm going to work, and it says, I love myself, I'm amazing, I am awesome, over and over again for 10 minutes. Yeah. I don't care if someone's watching me drive. I'll be driving. I'm like, hey, you're putting me pushed out anyways. I don't care if you're judging me. So I'm just like, I love myself. I'm awesome. I'm amazing. Just on my way to work. It just supercharges the day.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Your boss must love you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
It's pretty.
Yeah.
And, if you have so much self-love, then you can give as much. I mean, we have infinite self-love. So if you realize that, you can give it out to everybody that you see and that you talk to and that you converse with.
So
And
do you do, like, apart from the meditations, do you do, like, have you got really good sort of routine with looking after yourself physically, exercise,
yes,
food, all
yes.
that stuff?
Oh yeah, I've
Yeah.
been a pretty big health nut, all pretty much all my life, ever since
Yeah.
I've been in like sixth grade.
Okay.
Just like health, nourishing food, natural foods, you know, because
Wow.
those
Is that
bring up
'cause
your
of your
vibe.
mum? Is that 'cause your mum sort of instilled that, or was you also?
Uh, it was my thing. Like I don't even know where it started. It's kind of one of those things that just started happening. Like I
Yeah.
just remember, like I've always been super health conscious of what I eat, because you know
Wow.
what you eat. I mean, it's like people are like, Seth, why do you eat so healthy? Like you're so skinny. You're like, blah, blah blah. You
Yeah.
don't need to eat this healthy. I'm like, I eat this healthy because it makes me feel good,
It's got
and it's
nothing to
good
do
for
with
my
being
health.
skinny. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
I could go eat, you know, 3 donuts right now, and I'd be
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
But I don't want to, because that, one, doesn't make me feel good. It brings down my
Yeah.
vibe.
It does.
Two, I mean, we have so much stuff going on in our body, and that wasn't made for that.
Yep.
And so I do eat healthy. I try to eat mostly fruits and vegetables.
Yep.
Lots of fruits and vegetables, and
Mm.
not too many carbs.
Yep.
I'm kind of one of those people, because those really, I notice when I eat them, bring down my energy level.
Yeah. And there's a book written called Grain Brain.
Yeah.
Like all the wheat and all that stuff, it just fogs you out. And when you know that to manifest properly, to really, you got to have a clear mind. So you may as well help
Yes.
yourself with the food.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I actually do eat a little bit now. I used to not, but I just figured out I actually eat a lot more fat, but healthy
Yep.
fat, because
Yep.
your brain is running on mostly fat. So if you're not feeding yourself fat, your
Yep.
brain's gonna get that fat, and your brain's not gonna work that well.
Exactly. Yep.
And
I
then
agree.
yeah, and then on top of that, after work, if I got some time, I usually go to the gym,
Yeah.
and I hit the sauna, because I sweat out
Yeah.
any negative energy that I had. It comes right out of me
Yeah.
at the end of the
Yeah.
day. And then so I just go in the sauna, and I'll go in the sauna with like sweats on, and just like sweat a pint, and then
Yeah.
just drink a bunch of water, just to
Yeah.
constantly circulate, instead of retaining all of that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow, you must be, because I know, when I grew up, everybody was eating junk food between the ages of 15 and 21.
Yeah, yeah, it's still like that.
It's still like that, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Wow, your friends must just look at you and go, "What?"
Yeah, like with a crooked eye. What is this guy?
So do you cook for yourself, or
I do. I mean, I don't have that much time, because
Yeah,
I do work quite a bit.
yeah,
So, you know, if I am on the run, I make sure I'm going to a place that has. I mean,
healthy food.
yes, and I
Yeah,
have like a few different places that I eat out. It's
yeah,
not like I'm going to like fast food or anything like that. It's usually like,
yeah,
if I do go out to eat, it's like Mediterranean food, which is like
yep.
one of the most purest foods you can eat. So
Well,
I
and me being Mediterranean, it's a lot of vegetables and a lot of fruit.
yeah, like I'll eat for two salads with garlic paste and chicken, and I'm just digging
Yeah.
it.
Nice. Nice. Wow. That's a pretty good routine.
Yeah, and then at night, I do meditation too, and
Yep.
usually my nightly meditation is revising the day,
Yep.
and falling asleep revising the day, or falling asleep doing what I want to do
Yep.
tomorrow, or having the accomplished goal.
Yeah.
And I changed that up. So like
Yep.
you've sent me a personal meditation in the past.
Yep.
I do that quite often.
Yeah.
Or if, you know, I'll revise the day, or I'll just
Yeah.
imagine something over and over and over again,
Yeah.
until I fall asleep in that state.
Yeah. So have
And
you got, like, when you still want to manifest certain things, have you got, say, 2 or 3 things on the go that you imagine regularly, or you just do one at a time until it manifests? Like, how do you do it?
I always usually have one big thing I'm going for.
Yep.
And then I have lots of small things that are in more of a trickle down off of that one
Yep.
big thing.
Yeah.
So that's usually how it works. Maybe sometimes 2 big things. It really doesn't. If you're using your imagination wisely, you know, you can manifest as many things as you want.
Yep.
It's just that you have to be, if you want to manifest more than one thing, you got to be living from the end. So use one imaginal scene from the end that has all of those desires that you're going for.
Which is what Neville talked about. You get the bigger thing that's the umbrella, and it encompasses all those other things. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I mean, let's say that you want a new house, and you also want your specific person.
Yeah.
you're imagining yourself having that house and a specific person's living with you already.
Yes.
So
Yeah,
that's
you're
two
doing
big things that you're manifesting at once.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
That's a good example, actually. And then that
Yeah.
shiny, nice, car in the driveway.
Right. And if you want to manifest a specific person, be driving your new car with your specific person.
Exactly. It's that simple, isn't it? It's that simple.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And I mean, a lot of times your reasoning mind comes into factor, especially with things that are tangible with money, I feel like.
Yes.
Because you're just like, man, like I don't have that money, especially if you want like a car by cash, like your story with the BMW.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Like
Yeah.
you're just like, how in the world am I gonna buy this cash? Like that just doesn't make sense. Like you can't comprehend, but you just got to keep living in the end.
Yeah. And I mean, in that story, I did go for a loan, and I didn't want a loan, but I couldn't at that point. I didn't believe enough that I could buy it cash. So I went for the loan, and of course they said no.
Yeah. Yeah. And they were just playing their part.
They played their part, which was quite funny.
Yeah.
When you look back at when you see that your belief was kind of a bit shaky, but you were trying to head in that direction. And then, that was a good example of me getting my sea legs with stretching my mind that I could do that at that time. Because that was probably one of my first biggest manifestations was that one.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was good. Good.
Yeah, I definitely have a couple things in the pipeline right now.
Yeah,
so,
cool.
Yeah, don't be afraid to manifest more than one thing at once.
Yes, and I remember, I don't know if it was Esther Hicks answering someone's question, at one of those big conventions, but they asked her the question of, can I manifest? Can I have, like, say, a trip, a house, a relationship, a car? Can I actually visualize all those things? And she said yes, as long as it doesn't stress you out. If your vibe drops and you go, oh, that's too many things, then taper off. Or I think the Neville way was even better than hers, which was you go for the feeling place. Isn't it wonderful what's happening to me now? And then that encompasses all four of those things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you get to this point when you're actually like manifesting something, that feeling when you're manifesting something and you start thinking about it and you actually think that you already have it. Like your brain's just like, you're like, whoa, wait a second. I just for like 3 minutes actually thought that I really had that.
Yeah, you cross the barrier. You cross the barrier.
Yeah. It feels so, like what Neville Goddards said, it feels so natural. And that's when that's when you look at yourself and you go, oh, it's coming.
Yeah, that's the being on the brink. It's like the present and that world, the imaginal world, kind of meet.
Yeah, they merge.
Yeah, really cool.
Actually, crazy. And I had that happen to me the other morning. I woke up in an imaginal act, but the imaginal act was so vivid that like I felt everything. Like I know, like when you imagine something, you can actually, like, you get that like sensing kind of feel, but like it felt so real. It was incredible feeling. I can't even describe it. It was really weird. And like I woke up like I had to pull myself out of that to actually wake up because I had to go to work. And I was like, whoa, what's happening? Like you almost feel like you're in a whole different world.
You do, and you feel like you kind of belong to that world more than this one, and you feel like you got to step back through a porthole or something, and it's really weird.
Right. Yeah. And the world will change around you, and it's like it's and that's a question. It's like, is the world changing, or am I changing and the world changing around me?
Yeah.
Because you're like slipping. You're like, am I going through like different dimensions or what? Yeah. Like, what's going on?
Yeah. And you know what? That movie Inception is very where you drop through the dream levels. That reminds me.
Yeah. And it's. I mean, I've kind of experienced, and it's real.
Yeah.
Because like Neville Goddards says, creation's finished. There's like everything that can and will happen, every possibility that you want to think that can intertwine into what you want, it's already there. It's already yours for the taking. So you just got to claim it as yours, and you have it.
Yeah, exactly.
And then,
I can't wait to see what you're doing in 5 years. My God. You're working for NASA, being on the moon or something.
Yeah, I'll be like colonizing Mars.
There you go. Yeah.
And then we'll just have a big self-love heart in the middle that everybody can go to, and just like
Self-love convention up there.
Yes, self-love convention.
Oh my God. Oh, that's
Man.
funny. That's funny.
Yeah.
Oh, brilliant. Brilliant. God, that hour's gone by quick. We've just been like on it.
I know.
It's gone so
I know. It's
quick.
because we're so in harmony right now. It's like we're feeding off each other. I feel like I've been talking mostly, but
That's
whoosh.
good. You know what? Because I've been with family for 10 days and my energy's kind of down to about 40%. So I was thinking, fantastic. And I thought, Seth's going to talk a lot and it's going to work really naturally, really well.
Awesome. Well, then I played your part.
You did. You played it extremely well. Perfect.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And I'm sending you energy. Here you go.
Yeah.
Because I got unlimited. I promise.
A little top up. That's great. Well, before we go, do you want to say anything else? Anything you wanted to mention, or?
Well, I'm backing up a little bit because it was getting a little bit
dropping
choppy.
out, yeah.
Okay, I think we're good now.
Yeah. Before we go, do you want to wrap it up with something, or anything that you haven't mentioned that you want to mention?
I mean, we covered so much in so little time. I just wanted to let everybody know to not get discouraged, because if you get discouraged, like, then you're only doing more damage to yourself.
Yeah.
So, I don't care if it's been a year. I mean, you just got to just like audit yourself.
Yeah.
You've been doing this, and then revise the whole entire year. Like even if you can revise a whole year in 30 minutes if you really want to. You just got to take the key points that you really remember.
Yeah.
And that's totally going to wipe out the momentum that you've been using that whole past year. Yeah. And it'll totally flip the switch to, you can climb the hill in 5 minutes if you want to, So I feel like if you can actually sit down and revise, let's say you're having a bad month or a bad year or a bad 2 years, revise those whole 2 entire years, because that's totally going to take the emotional thing. And if you feel like it's creeping back up, revise it again.
Yep. And
because
you keep doing it until it's no longer got any hold.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, it's all just you.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't blame anybody but yourself.
Nah.
But at the same time, don't blame yourself. Forgive yourself, because you got to realize we're human and we make mistakes. So be like, okay, yeah, this was all me. I'm going to forgive myself. Ho'oponopono if you have to.
Yeah.
And then revise everything as you wanted it to be, and then keep living how you want to be. And I think that's just one of the big keys. And self-love, obviously, is just another big key, because that helps. I feel like self-love is like the catalyst to everything.
It is. It's like if you don't have that in place, all the imagining for a specific person, a house, money, a trip, it's kind of you're icing a rotten cake, as they say.
For sure.
You got to have the foundation in place. Otherwise, everything you do, people say, oh, I've done this technique for 2 months, it doesn't work. Yeah, but where the heck were you in your self-love when you did it? That's the thing that's most important. If you could say to people, remember 2 things, self-love first, then everyone else as you pushed out. If you could just remember those 2 things and apply that to everything, you would crack every manifestation.
Those are the 2 biggest things that you can act like that's it. Like that's just it. That's it. Like self-love and everyone's you pushed out. You got to realize that the person I'm looking at right now that's in the car that's delivering pizzas is me pushed out. Yeah. And I'm going to send him self-love right now and hope he has a great day and gets tipped $15. And now that I said that, he's going to. So happy pizza delivering for that
guy. Exactly. It's that simple.
Yeah.
Well, Seth, thank you so much for coming on and chatting with me.
No problem.
It's fantastic. Well, I think we're going to need to do a part 2 in about 3 or 4 months.
All right. I'm ready.
I love it. I love how you're in the car too. I just think that's fantastic.
Yeah, I know. I was just like, I'm going to go in the car, because I mean, if I'm at home, I feel like I'm going to have to muffle myself because there's other people home.
Exactly.
Like I can.
Jacqueline did her interview in the car too. And it was
I saw that. I saw it. Yeah. And I was just like, I'm going to do that. Yeah. Because I went and got like this mount that, show my face off.
Yeah, no, it's perfect. And it's good lighting and you're in the quiet because there's no one moving around. So yeah, it's perfect. Car interviews work very well.
Yeah, I was just really hoping that a cop didn't come up and be like, "What the heck are you doing, man?" I'm
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
"Hey, man, you're just me pushed out. Get away."
Get away, I'm doing something. All right, mate. Lots of love to you. And yeah, fantastic. I look forward to watching it, going back.
All right, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too, definitely.
I'll shoot you through an email when it's uploaded.
All right, and lots of love to you and to everybody watching.
Beautiful. Thank
All right,
you.
have a fantastic day.
You too.
Yeah. Are you ending this?
Yeah, I'm ending it.
All right. See you later.
See you soon.